Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to the painting channel. And today I'm going to be doing a simple landscape, and I want to talk to you all about aerial perspective. So let's roll that intro. Let's see what happens. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back. As I said just now, I'm going to be doing a simple landscape, but I want to talk to you all about aerial perspective. Now, I know for many of you that subject is well known, and you know how to create aerial perspective in the work that you produce. But this video is aimed more at those who are just starting out, and it's not necessarily aimed at just watercolors, because of course color and the use of color transcends all mediums. So it doesn't really matter whether you work in pastel, oil, acrylic, gouache, or indeed watercolor. This video will help you out if you're just starting and you want to learn or understand a little bit more about aerial perspective. So without further ado, let's get on. Let's see what happens with it. And the idea is to show you, when you look at a photograph or look at a scene, how you can create the sense of distance from the horizon line to where you are standing, and also from the horizon line to the sky above your head. And that is done through tone moreover than anything else. When we look at vast distances, we're looking through many vapor droplets, more little sort of bits of vapor in the air, and that is sort of obvious more when we've got a foggy day or a misty day. There's so much water vapor in the air then that you can't see sort of sometimes 2 or 3 feet in front of you. But generally there is sort of droplets or vapor in the air, as I understand it, and that creates the illusion of distance. In other words, everything here is very detailed, very fresh, and then it gets further and further diluted and cooler and paler as it goes back to your horizon line. And conversely, the sky is very, very strong blues at the top, and especially over the top of your head. But as you go down towards the horizon line, those blues give way to much paler versions, tints almost, until they are pretty much non-existent at the horizon line. And also the drawing that you create also will change what you see. In other words, our clouds are really, really big as they approach us, as they come above our heads. But as they descend further away from us and towards the horizon line, so they get smaller and less significant. They're still there, and of course they're all coming this way potentially, or they're all going that way. It depends which way the wind's going. But you have to describe them in such a way that when somebody looks at your painting, it looks convincing that you are standing here, and that distance there, that horizon line, is a long, long way away. So that's what this video is about, and hopefully I will demonstrate that to you during the course of it. And I hope for that reason it will be a lot of help to some of you. Now also I'm going to be using, as much as I can, a Harke brush. This is a 30mm Harke brush from Rosemary & Company. And then I've got a number 10 and a number 5 round, and a small rigger. Now all three of these are from the Red Dot series, and they are absolutely vegan friendly. Colors, my standard colors, but as you well know, I'm playing around with 2 extra ones at the moment. So the photograph that I've put up is actually quite square, and my painting is on a rectangular surface. So what have I got to do? I need to change the dynamic. I don't really want to put a horizon line that's straight through the center of our picture plane. It will cause a problem when somebody looks at it, because they don't know whether to look here or above. The center line is dissecting the scene through the middle, in the same way as you don't put something through the exact center of your picture either. You will bring it to a third or a third, but never in the center. Equally, you raise up your horizon line there, or you bring it down a bit. It doesn't have to be way up there or way down there, as long as it's not in the center. I just realised I've got an electric fire right underneath where I'm splashing water. Not the best plan. There's no health and safety here, got to be said. All right, so I'm going to mix up my colours to begin with. So I'm going to mix up some nice cobalt blue, which is nice colour to use. I do love using a lot of cobalt for my skies. Sometimes, if I've got a really powerful, punchy sky, and I'm going to make a lot of this because it's got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to make quite a bit of this blue and make it fairly thick as well. Too wishy-washy, and I've done it myself, where when it dries back almost no blue at all. It's so pale that you haven't really achieved what you set out to. Now to that, I'm going to add in a little bit of phthalo blue, just a tap, not too much. It's very powerful. I want to come in with some of my sienna. There's a bit of paint left from before in my brush. There we go. Doesn't matter too much. Not going to make a big influence on it, but I want to make quite a watery solution. I want this like weak tea. I don't want it to be overtly yellow or earth coloured. I do want to have an influence there though of that for my white clouds. All right. Body colour or the volume colour on these clouds, and I want to do this all in one pass. That's the other thing. I forgot to tell you that bit, didn't I? I don't really want to work this again. I want to come in, add these colours in, put them down and leave the whole painting alone. Just let it do what it wants to do, and that'll be the end of the matter. Now I've got to start thinking of our lovely aerial perspective. So let's come back in and let's just bring some of that colour. The next thing I want to do is I want to bring in a bit of that cool blue colour all the way through the bottom part of this horizon line. Take that to the edge there, take that all the way through there. And we're creating an automatic, take that to the edge as well, an automatic sort of suggestion of the division between our sky and our sea, as it were, or our land, is going to be a little bit confused. It's not going to be quite one or the other. Just popping in a little bit more blue there. Sort of warmer in places, cooler in others. And I'm just going to bring that colour down through here because we're going into an area of our painting that is going to get darker all of a sudden. But I want to keep some of those colours a little bit livelier. You can see I've gone straight through where my trees are because they're going to be darker. So it's not a big problem. If you're going to go and do that through somewhere that is actually lighter, that wouldn't work as well. So we're going to leave that, and all we're doing, we've got a nice angle on a piece of paper, which I did forget to say. Nice angle on our paper, and that allows gravity to take over. Putting a little bit of burnt sienna into that mix here. Just want to come in with a darker value on the top of this hill. Nice. What I didn't do before I actually finish drying this whole thing up is I want to come in with a bit of red into that mix. I just want to tap in. I didn't do it, so I'm going to do it now. I'm going to tap in a few areas that are going to spread awful. Should have done this at the time, but I'm going to make some almighty big mistakes. Hopefully they will not cause too many problems. I just wanted that influence of the warm colours, and as I said, it's going to push colour that way. It's going to push the greens out. It's going to make some awful marks in cauliflowers, but if I'm lucky, it won't cause a big problem. I'm hoping that by doing that I can make something more of the trees to cover up any unsightly marks. But there's some lovely sort of weeds and stuff, growth in the foreground. I really want to use that. And I forgot to put that in, but I'm just now changing my mind. I'm going to leave that and see what happens. Hopefully we'll have got away with it. Okay, I'm quite happy with the way this went. I nearly caused myself a huge problem here, as you saw just now. And I dropped in some very watery red colours, red hints, just to warm up this foreground. I completely forgot it when I was doing the painting earlier, but we got it in there. There was a big risk of some big cauliflowers forming. What I did do is I got straight back in with the hairdryer and dried through here very quickly, minimizing the push of the water, the spread of the color. I think we got away with it, and enough, I think, to carry on and not worry too much. So we're going to come down a little bit now. We're going to start looking at some of the details in our horizon area first and foremost, and we're going to mix up some colors that really work with that idea. So we're going to be using Viridian as some of that color tint, and these are tonal values. They're not going to be strong colors way off there in the distance. I'm going to come in with some blue violets. I'm going to put some of that in. Now I'm treading carefully, and if you're not sure of the color you're mixing, then please have a spare swatch of paper nearby that you can just come along and test your color and think, is that right, is that wrong? And I think it's not quite there yet. So we're going to carry on mixing until we are there. I'm going to suggest a little bit of Payne's Grey into that. Just see where that goes, and just put that next to there. Starting to get there, but I think we need a bit of cobalt blue, a little bit more bluish color. Just see where we are with that. Now a weaker version of that, and I think we're almost there. Maybe a little bit of magenta, not too much. It's very influential. Let's just come back in with a little bit of violet color, put it under there. Now I think we're starting to get there. Okay, so I'm going to run with that one, and I'm going to use this mix, a little bit more of the red over there so we can use the whole area. And I'm just going to quite simply come in with a very thin line of color. Okay, we're going to bring that line through there and just make that disappear. Lots of lovely information. Can't imagine how many trees I've actually painted in this scene. Hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them. But with just a few taps of the brush, to be fair. All right, now we've got another big group of trees. Now these are getting a little closer, but there's also a bit more green in them. They're not as dark all over as the ones behind them. There's a little bit more information going on, so we're going to add in just a bit more yellow and a bit more green, and once these ones are dry we can then come back and add the darks that give them the shadow at the bases and therefore tie them to the field, as it were. I think that's all we need. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and we're going to come back and finish the painting. Okay, so I think that's pretty much dry to continue, and for the last part I'm going to pick up some of this Payne's Grey that we had, and into it I'm probably going to actually add a little bit more. A little bit of Viridian, so we're turning it quite green, but I want to put in a little bit of light red too, and that will neutralize the green and make it a dark grey colour. So we've got a dirty, greeny, grungy grey colour. I don't know what sort of description that is, but it works for me. Now I'm going to start working back into these areas, and not too much water on the brush. Always watch that. I don't remember to take off the worst sometimes, and it catches me out. But I just want to put in the influences on the area. Now this is, as I said earlier, it's rough paper. It's actually, I think, a Saunders Waterford rough, and it takes skipping very, very well, dry brush effects very, very well. And I'm sort of scratching a little bit with the belly and the side belly of this brush, and I'm just trying to give a sense of the lights and darks in these trees and these bushes as they cascade down the side of this hill. Lots of dark on the bottom, of course, and that will allow them to show up a beautiful light against the side of our hill. There's this darkness of this tree here. Let's put that in. And I'm going to use the same mixes. In fact, I actually need to make them a little stronger. So I'm going to come in here with some of that green, a little bit of red, a bit of green, and I want to make a little warmer value into some of this area here. These are some of our shadowy parts into our green bank that we're standing on. Now the thing is that I've made these colors somewhat warmer than the colors here. These have got a lot of sort of reds and green directly mixed together, and I've influenced the green with a bit more red here and there, so I'm suggesting that we've got a much warmer dark made purely from Viridian and light red. I'm going to put in a little bit of that warm red colour. I wanted to suggest the roof of a farm or something through the back there. A little bit of something there. I don't know what's down there. There is a building there and I have no idea what it is. I'm just going to make a suggestion. Bit of a dirty red colour, really. But a little bit of white underneath it will hopefully suggest that there is the building there. Now, one thing that's been disturbing me a little bit, I'm tempted, ever so tempted, just to put a bit of blue, very, very weak blue colour. I use some of this that's laying on the side. I don't know whether this is going to be a good plan or a bad plan. So it hasn't actually shown up too well. What I wanted to do is just bring in, so that's too strong. Automatic, just too strong. So I'm going to wipe that back and just want to suggest a very, very pale line that could well be our sea line way off there. Hopefully that won't be too strong, just enough to suggest to you, the viewer, that we have a secondary bit of line as a horizon line, and then we've got our coastline right in front of it. Okay, everyone, little landscape complete, and I hope I've managed to illustrate to you the idea of painting with aerial perspective firmly in mind. Now, the idea was to have these beautiful tints way off here on the horizon line and very much cooler, and they are just simple tints, and they come this way with the greens becoming progressively darker, still quite cool, and as they come up here they start getting warmer until you get the shadows here that have got quite a red or warm influence to them, and the values get very much stronger here and here, and they just go away. And similarly for the sky, we've got big clouds, we have the body of the clouds stronger up there, and they get weaker and lost as they go down towards the horizon. I did have to put that little bit of sea in at the end. There wasn't quite enough definition to show it from before, and I broke my rule about going back into that, but I think that works very well, and it happened as it should have done. So yeah, aerial perspective. Not the be-all and end-all, but it certainly gives you an idea, and it's certainly a start to think about in the future. But anyway, there you go. I'm just going to sign it and call it a day on this one. And I really do hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, then please consider subscribing to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, and it really does help the channel grow and reach so many more people around the world who, like you, are trying to learn to paint in watercolors. So that would be absolute fantastic if you do that. If you feel that I've done enough for you, then as I say, subscribe and add comments as well. I love to read them. I'll always answer them. And also, don't forget, there is the artwork for this will be over on my Patreon for you to download and use. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. You do not need to be a patron to do that. Just pop over there, download it and use it. But if you want to put your versions over on Painting with Paul Apps on Facebook, please join that group and you'll be so welcome, and love to see you there and get involved. And if you want even more, then while you're over on the Patreon, check it out. There is so much on offer, and most of it is becoming more and more exclusive content, and so you can't see it anywhere else, only on Patreon. So check it out if you want to get involved. Love to see you there. One big plug for my new course, which is Learn to Paint Skies. If you want to reach out and learn to paint skies in watercolor, it is still on offer. I think depends when you watch this video, but at the moment it is on offer at £67 instead of £97, and there is also free bonus material as well. So you might want to get involved with that, and if you do, I'd love to see you on the course, and I'll do my best to help you out. Take care. I'm going to get on and get ready for a new video. So see you in the next one. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy your painting above all. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.